All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast, Gio Garcia. I'm alongside Christian Mosqueda. Back again, back with another exciting week of boxing.
Yeah, we're back, man, and let's get into it, Gio. Let's get into fights that happened last weekend. Your boy Danny Garcia, no relation, got in the ring, man. He made his debut at 154, man. I'm gonna ask you, what did you think of his performance? If you saw it live, did you see it delayed? What did you think of Danny Boy?
DSG, shout out to Comics Vet if he's watching live. I think he looked good. Um, Honestly, I don't get anything from it. He didn't fight a 154 pounder, so um, I'm not sure what he's going to bring to the table as of now at 154. He hadn't fought since the Errol Spence defeat back in 2020. So this was kind of like a comeback fight for him. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I should make too much of this, especially because of the opponent he had in front of Jose Benavidez, who hasn't been very active lately after the Terrence Crawford loss, um,
Mm-hmm.
which was his only loss, really. In 2018, after that, he had a draw, majority draw in 2021, so not very active, and then made his comeback against Danny Garcia at 154. Decent fight, decent fight. Not mad at it.
Yeah. All right. I know you didn't get a lot from it, but I'll pose a question. Do you think DSG can claim a title at 154, or do you think there's just, he's not big enough? Do you think it's just that Charlo has too much of a grasp on those titles? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that was the poll that I did on. And shout out to Comics Vet. He is here, checking in live. Of course, he probably saw his boy on the thumbnail or on the title, and he had to check in. But um, yeah. Anyway, the question that you just asked me was the same question that I asked all those who are subscribed to the Against the Ropes channel. Can Danny win a belt at 154? And just reading the poll on our channel, 52% said no, 48% said yes. And that's out of 87 votes. So pretty split, pretty split. But the few comments that we got were about, the fact that Charlo has a belt. So can he beat a guy like Charlo? Not sure. But like I said, I haven't seen anything at 154. So I don't want to jump to any conclusions. Um, as of now, I want to say no, but I'm rooting for him. Sorry, comic
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, obviously Charlo has all the belts undisputed, but it wouldn't be surprising if he starts relinquishing one here, another one there, jumps up a division, and then it becomes available. So I agree. I don't think Danny at this moment can get a belt, but if it's somehow, if they get spread out like Thanos' reigns and one happens to land on, I don't know, a Lubin, who knows, man? Again, Danny is advanced, or not advanced, but he is in his um, early to mid 30s. He's getting up there, up in that threshold where you really start, considering a retirement. He looked good, um, but yeah, like, again, we'll see what happens. But yeah, who's a guy that you would want him tested against? Maybe somebody around that same size, like you said, he did not fight a true 154. Who's the one guy at 154? Of course, it's not going to be a title match as of yet, but who would you like him fight against?
Well, he mentioned Keith Thurman and he mentioned Anisline Lara at 155. So I'm not sure if the goal is to stay at 154 and fight real 154 pound
Mhm.
fighters, but there are a couple guys, the J Rock Williams of the world, the even Hurd was there. Hurd was there in attendance. He
Yeah.
said he'd love a fight with Danny. So those guys, I mean, I think a guy like Williams is very, very beatable. Um, but just to hop around a little bit and go to the comment section here, uh, Big Bro says, I heard this was boring. Glad I didn't waste my time. Danny sucks. Clyde says, Danny getting destroyed at 154 against any legit fighter Big Bro said, "Who's the 48 who voted for him? Must have been his family members." And then Clyde, with the ongoing onslaught here, says, "Danny is just a gatekeeper now." Interesting. And then shout out to Jesus checking in. Saludos. But yeah, I think it looks difficult, but we've seen weirder things in boxing. We've seen title fights that were not supposed to be title fights. So yeah, I agree that, just because Charlo has all the belts now doesn't mean he's gonna have those for forever. We've seen Josh Taylor little by little start vacating his belts. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm kind of rooting for Danny. I don't know. I think he's taken a lot of risks in his career, and I think we should celebrate that, kind of like Sean Porter,
Yeah.
But
I completely agree. He's been in there with the Errol Spence. You just mentioned Sean Porter. You fought Keith
Thurman,
one-time Thurman, Lamont Peterson,
Amir Khan,
fighter, Amir Khan, Bam Bam Rios when he still had that Bam, the Ghost Guerrero. You name him, he's fought everybody, even at Terrible.
Oh, come on, man! Why you got to do that? Stop right there. That's disrespectful.
But yeah, he's fought everybody.
I knew you were going to throw that in. Disrespectful.
He's come up short. He's come up short against the very best, but just the fact that he fought the very best, it has to be commendable. We see a bunch of guys that don't fight the very best. You know who we're talking about. But yeah,
he's not beating a guy like Castaño. I'll tell you that.
On volume alone,
I said he's not beating a guy like Castaño.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, Brian Castaño's not that much bigger than him. I mean, height-wise.
I didn't say anything about weight. I'm just saying he's not beating Castaño.
Man, I don't know, man. Castaño, when you lose a fight like that, sometimes it takes away some.
I don't know. I've never lost a fight.
I would say Castaño and Danny are a little bit closer than what people think, man. Obviously, I would still favor Castaño, but hey, that's a good match. You don't like that? You don't like that matchup for Danny?
I like it, but yeah, I just don't think Jose Benavidez was the challenge that he needed. Obviously, comeback fight. I mean, if they fight 100 times, he might win 98 times, in my opinion. Jose Benavidez, he showed some good boxing at moments. This was a majority decision. One judge had it a draw. I thought it was closer than what the Showtime commentators and unofficial judges, how they were scoring it. I think Benavidez at times was able to control the action with the jab, and especially Danny not being a volume puncher. I do think Benavidez was able to steal some of those rounds. Not enough for a draw, though. Not enough for a draw. He just didn't do enough, in my opinion. Head movement, non-existent. So it was tailor-made for Danny to shine and possibly get a stoppage. Wasn't able to do it, but he didn't look too bad. But it's going to be interesting at 154 what Danny can do. But like I said, this tells me nothing about Danny at 154 because he hasn't fought a 154-pounder as of now.
Yeah, the names that you mentioned, man. I mean, Jesse Vargas competes at 154. I'd like to see that.
Come on, man.
A Tyrell Gaucher against Danny, or maybe a Tony Harrison. I think those guys, the not the top five, but
I'm sorry. 7. I meant Tony Harrison when I said Heard. They interviewed Tony Harrison. He said he'd welcome a fight with Danny. So I think that's a good fight right there.
That's a good scrap. That's a good scrap. Yeah, for me, Danny, he's those guys that he doesn't talk the biggest outside the ring, but he's in your mind. He's in boxing heads' minds where he had a respectable run, and you want him, to still get some final competitive fights. And I think he's got enough of punch that it can carry to 154. Again, we're not gonna know until he fights an actual 154-pounder, but I think Danny can make maybe not hold the title, but definitely can knock some heads out that 154 division.
Clyde says all them dudes will beat him. And you mentioned his power, but I mean, look, let's be honest, his power has not been impressive once he moved up from 140.
Yeah.
Obviously, the loss to Errol Spence Jr., which was a good fight. He beat Ivan Redkach by unanimous decision. He TKO'd
Yeah.
Adrian Granados, which was a given. Lost a, a decision unanimous to Sean Porter. TKO'd Brandon Rios, who was ready to retire,
Yeah.
and lost to Keith Thurman. TKO'd Samuel Vargas. Of course, that was a given. So, I don't know. Obviously, you talk about his power. He has 21 KOs and 37 wins. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that alone will be enough to compete with the guys at 154 pounds. And you saw it here. I mean, he's fighting
Yeah.
obviously a bigger guy physically in Jose Benavidez, but was never really able to hurt him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right, Julio,
I
I'm
think
gonna
he's
sing
gonna have
some. I'm
to.
gonna name.
He boxed a little more than before, in my opinion. So maybe as he gets older, maybe that's the style that he decides to adopt.
Yeah. All right, Gio, I'm gonna name some names, some more known names at that 154 division, and you tell me yes or no if Danny Swift Garcia beats them. All right. Sebastian Fundora.
No,
Okay. Brian Castaño.
no,
Tim Zhu.
no.
Damn, no love. Liam Smith.
Yes. Come on, man.
Okay, there we go. We're getting some good matchmaking. All right. Israel Madrimov. He's the guy from Uzbekistan, I believe. Young guy.
No.
No, that's like little triple G. So no. Okay. Erickson Lubin.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Writing these names down. We're gonna send those names over. All right. Tony Harrison.
I'll say yes, but not very confident in that one.
All right. All right. That's like a 50-50 fight. All right. Two more names. Jesse Vargas.
Come on, man. KO. If you want a KO, fight Jesse.
There you go. All right, man. We're sending all these suggestions to his management team. And final, Terrell Gaucher, the man that
Yes.
just lost to Tinzu.
Yes.
That's a yes.
Yes.
All right, there we go. I mean, see, there's some winnable names there. We'll see if Danny can work off of the ones that he said yes, and if he can work his way up to the ones you said no. I will give him a little bit more credit. I think he could take some of those no's that you said, but not just yet. He's gonna have to get some experience at 154.
All them dudes would beat him, says Clyde. His power is just
Dang.
closing his eyes and swinging widely. He has no wins against top fighters in their prime. Big Bro says, yup, he left 47 because he ran out of people to lose to there. It says, no to all of them. Why spend so much time on this? And then Sean says, Broner versus Garcia. Interesting.
Nice.
All right, just real quickly, go through those names and you tell us yes or no.
All right, let's see. Okay, so obviously Castaño, no, but it will be competitive. Castaño's
Yes or no,
5'7",
Chris? Yes or no? Real quick.
No. Fundora, no. Tinzu, no. Liam Smith, yes. Israel Madrimov, yes. I think he's too inexperienced. Lubin, I would say yes. 50-50 fight though. Tony Harrison, yes. I would favor Danny over Harrison. Jesse Vargas, hell yes. Easy money. Terrell Gaucher, I'd say no. I think Gaucher would just try to box him to a decision. And I think that's it. So I would favor closer to the ones you said, Gio.
Yeah.
And I would say that Castaño would be closer, but Castaño would edge.
Oh, come on, man.
Hey, he's 5'7", man. He's 5'7". Then he's 5'8", 5'8.5". Solid.
An inch and a half cancels everything else out. Interesting. Well, that's all I got on Danny, man. That's all I got. I was rooting for him to win. I was rooting for him to get the stoppage. He didn't get it, but it was an okay performance for him.
Yeah,
Any thoughts on his post fight interview?
I saw that he said that he had depression, and it was a moment. Yeah, I'm a big believer that people go through mental health stuff. I did not expect that from a Danny Garcia. I know he got some heat from a former opponent in Errol Spence. I told him how you're rich and
he got whooped 3 times. He had to go through some stuff, man.
I mean, hey, I get it. It's a real thing. You get depressed. But go get some sun. Go talk to people. Take your boat out.
What is going on here? Man. Anyway, let's go to some comments. Shout out to B, who's in attendance here. And then Big Bro says, none out of the top 3 matter.
Were you surprised by that?
No.
No?
No, man. He didn't fight for a whole year. He disappeared.
I mean, I get bummed too if you can't work. Does he have an OnlyFans shirt? Oh my! I'm just seeing this.
Hey, they sponsored him.
Did they?
Hey, give me the check. I'll wear it too.
You will wear it too. Oh my god!
I'll take this. I'll take this one off, not in front of you guys, but I'll take the AtR shirt and I'll wear the OnlyFans if they pay. Why not?
Hey, the check.
Nothing wrong with that.
If the zeros make sense, man, sign me up. Why not? Sell out squad over here.
But anyway, DSG, man, with Crazy Angel back at it again. We'll see what's next for them. All right. Well, I think this is a good time to move on. Let's move on to the man who's fighting this weekend against Michael McKinson. Fight that was originally postponed. It was supposed to be out here in LA. Vergil Ortiz Jr. had some health issues, forced to postpone the fight. And now they're going to get it on again. Both men undefeated. With Vergil Ortiz, 100% KO ratio. Michael McKinson on the extreme end of that spectrum. 2 knockouts and what, 22 wins? Yeah. I don't know if I've seen that before. 21 wins, whatever he has. Only 2 knockouts.
Yeah. Only 2 knockouts. Somebody actually posed him that question, like, "Hey, are you going to prepare for, somebody that has that much power? Your record indicates that you don't have as much." If somebody was respectful, trying to be, but you only have 2 knockouts. How do you prepare for that? McKinson said, I've been in there with guys with power. And if you go through my box rec, you'll see those percentages. And he said he's going to try to tame. Well, he said, "I'm going to tame the lion," but that's a tall order to meet. I gotta ask you, Gio, how can he do it? How can you do it with so little knockout power, in a sense?
Well, you can't.
You can't.
He can't, and he won't. 18 wins, 18 KOs for Vergil Ortiz Jr.
Yeah.
McKinson, like we said, 22 wins, only 2 by knockout. Only 2, and if you look at those names, nobody impressive, let's be honest. Nobody impressive. So, I don't think he'll do it. I think he'll need the biggest upset of boxing history to be able to get through this test. And I think Vergil makes easy work of him. I think Vergil will try to get some rounds in, but I think the temptation will be too much when he realizes that the guy in front of him can't hurt him. I think he's just going to walk through him and finish him off within 6.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is Vergil's first fight of 2022 due to the medical complications that he had early in the year. This is the longest inactive spell that he's had. It's been 355 days. Come fight night, it's going to be 357. Do you think that there will be some ring rust that will be apparent in the beginning, Gio?
Yes, but I don't think it'll matter against a guy like McKinson. I don't think it'll matter. I mean, just looking at Vergil's last few fights, he's getting better and better. That's why I think he probably wants to get some rounds in, but I'm not sure that McKinson will be able to withstand the power. If you look at the last few fights, Vergil Ortiz beat Kaveluskas, the Mean Machine, in August of 2021. Before that, same year, he beat Maurice Hooker, who will be on the undercard against Blair the Flair Cobbs. That's a good fight. KO'd Samuel Vargas, Brad Solomon, Antonio Orozco, Mauricio Herrera, and so on and so forth. So, I just think Vergil, he may show a little bit of ring rust, which is natural, and you take some time off, especially with his complications there with health. I don't think that would be abnormal, but I don't think it'll matter in this fight.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, weird things have happened in boxing, man. We have
No.
this guy named Sandro Martin that no one knew about. Came out of nowhere, took the fight, on a whim, and pulled off one of the biggest upsets. Does Michael McKinson, who has been in there with undefeated fighters, of course not at the level of Vergil Ortiz, does he have a prayer?
Not at all. I don't think so. Not to be disrespectful, but you're fighting one of the best future faces of boxing that we currently have, quote unquote younger fighters in Vergil Ortiz Jr., who I believe is one of the best at 147. Yeah, I think no chance at all. Not sure why this fight was made. I think once it was postponed, I think there was a good chance for Vergil Ortiz to move on to fight somebody better. But maybe he just wants to test it out, make sure he's all good to go, and then hop in there with the Lions. But going to some comments here, Brian says Chris will wear a McDonald's shirt. Then Clyde says the love for Danny is about as absurd as the love for Bud. Overrated bums. Woo, he used the B word. I'm done with Danny, he says.
Damn.
Chris will be sponsored by Super Tortas, says Big Bro. Oh, man.
It's on the pollo. I will come. Why not?
And then he says Vergil in 4. Vergil in 4.
Vergil in 4. Okay, he can do it, but like you said, Gio, I think he's gonna try to get around it. And hey, man, that Sandro Martin fight made me a believer in that boxing style in the Euros. So hey, I think it's gonna be a couple more rounds. But yeah, like you mentioned, Gio, Vergil is known for having one of the highest knockout ratios, 100% knockout ratio. I did pose him the question if he'd be disappointed if he doesn't get that knockout, if for some reason it goes a distance. And he said, that that's a point of pride. That's something he wants to keep. He doesn't fall in love with the knockout, but because then you can make mistakes. But that's something he wants to keep intact. He's very proud of that. He wants to hold on to that. I'm gonna ask you, Gio, would you be surprised if for some reason it goes a distance?
Yeah, I would be shocked. I would be definitely shocked. And then just looking here through McKinson's profile here, he actually went through with the fight last March 19th there at the Gallon Center in LA with Alex Martin. Won a unanimous decision. I remember he was talking about he wanted to get the knockout. Didn't look spectacular, but he did what he had to do. And just a whole lot of fights in England. He's from Portsmouth, England. So, yeah, no, I don't see it happening at all. I don't think this goes to distance. I don't know. What percentage would you give it of this fight going to distance? I think like 2%. 2% chance.
I'm gonna go a little bit higher, but then again, it's like as I mentioned, Ortiz Jr. He does everything right to the knockout. He doesn't force anything to happen. He sticks to his boxing, which is very boxer puncher type of style, and then eventually they crumble. I do think he has a very unorthodox boxer in front of him. Many people will say, that boxing style, nobody likes it. It's just not a lot of action. It's just very, boxing-esque. You don't risk a lot. So I think Ortiz is gonna really have to break him down, and somewhere between 5 and 8, I think he will do it. But I wouldn't be surprised. This is in a sense a perfect storm for McKinson. We talked about the inactivity. This is going to be the time where don't get my words confused. He's not going to get the win, in my opinion, Michael McKinson. But if you're going to take Vergil a distance, this is the time when there's an activity, when there's health complications that that happened early on. If there's anybody that's going to go the distance, this is the time, because Vergil is a destroyer, and we've seen it 18 times out on 18 different opponents.
Well, all I was looking for was a percentage, man. That's the longest percentage ever. But anyway, Yeah, that's Vergil Ortiz. That's the main event. Once again in Texas, they moved it from LA to Texas. So, of course, Vergil Ortiz fan favorite over there, his home state. I think he gets a knockout. But kind of moving on to a couple gentlemen who will be on the undercard, Maurice Hooker and Blair the Flair Cobbs. Maurice Hooker, of course, has two losses to only Vergil Ortiz Jr., who we spoke about. That was his last fight. And then Jose Ramirez in 2019. So both men coming off a loss. Both men coming off two stoppage losses. They both got stopped. So it's going to be very interesting. Of course, Blair the Flair was stopped against Alexis Rocha. So we'll see how he bounces back. And I think that's a very tough fight, in my opinion.
Percentage-wise, who do you favor in this fight?
Whew. I don't know, man. I think Maurice Hooker is a very tough challenge for anybody, really. For anybody. Tall, skillful. He's a tough guy. Even with Vergil Ortiz, like he wasn't going to give up. He wasn't going to quit. So obviously he has a size advantage, 5'11". I think, I don't know. It's just tough. I think you would have to favor Maurice Hooker.
Yeah.
And obviously Blair Cross, friend of the show. We like his style. I was rooting for him against Alexis Rocha, but I just think this is a very, very difficult fight stylistically for Blair, especially coming off that loss.
Yeah, even Blair said that, I'm fighting a better guy than the one I fought, my previous fight. I agree. Maurice Hooker has been there with more experienced fighters than Alexis Rocha. You just mentioned the headliner. He just that fight alone, probably made Maurice Hooker in a sense, feel like he should be able to take Blair Cobbs out. He's been in there with much, much better opponents. But I think it's going to be a very, very good fight, good competitive fight. Kyle's, we had him on the show. Crazy guy, but super entertaining. I think he's going to put on the show. And, man, if he can land something, he could shock Maurice Hooker. I'm going to answer that percentage question now. I'm going to favor Maurice Hooker's 55-45. 55-45 for Maurice Hooker.
I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all.
Yeah. And he actually, so I'm out here and in Fort Worth covering the fight, and he actually had his bud, no pun intended, Terrence Bud Crawford out here coming to support him. We're gonna definitely try to get an interview tomorrow, but didn't want to get no interviews right now. Everybody was gonna ask him about it. He's out here scouting Vergil Ortiz Jr., but of course he's just here to support Maurice Hooker. But yeah, man, I would give the advantage to Hooker, but I wouldn't be mad at being wrong. So definitely gonna be a good fight. It could steal the night based on that competitiveness in that event, that bout.
Yeah, and that's all I got. Unless you got anything else to mention, Chris.
Yeah, we're just gonna go down the fight card. Of course, we're gonna have Bektemir Melikuziev taking on Sladan Janjanin from out of Boston, Massachusetts. You just mentioned Maurice Hooker taking on Blair Cobbs. Martin Esparza, the WBA, WBC, and ring flyweight women's champion, taking on Eva Guzman out of Maracay, Venezuela. And of course, the main event, the return of Vergil Ortiz Jr., taking on the undefeated Michael McKinson. So, man, it's going to be a great fight. There's also a bunch of fights that are going to be free on the zone. So, man, you guys can check those out as well.
Yeah, and then just to kind of fast forward a little bit until what we will have in August. Well, this August 6th as well, from Belfast, Northern Ireland on ESPN Plus. Michael Conlan is fighting against the veteran Miguel Marriaga. That's going down also on ESPN Plus. Of course, you mentioned the action on the zone, live from Texas. And then fast forwarding to the weekend after that, Teofimo Lopez, the Takeover 2.0 is back, as they're calling it. Live from Las Vegas, ESPN Plus. He's fighting veteran fighter Pedro Campa in a 10-round fight. Xander Zayas is on there. What else we got on here? Yeah, I think they removed some names from this card, but that should be very interesting. Navarrete fighting also in August. The Usyk and Joshua fight is in August. AB, Adrian Broner against Omar Figueroa Jr. Is in August as well. Pedras against Comey. So good fights, and we'll have more time to get into them next week as well.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you again, Gio, and people can drop their comments. But what's your official round? I know you just said this is not gonna go the distance. Vergil's gonna keep his 100% knockout ratio. What round do you say it ends?
I'm gonna just say 5. I'm gonna say 5. What are you? What's your prediction for?
I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say it's because he lets obviously he lets it go a little bit longer, get some more rounds in. It's been again 355 days of an activity. He's gonna want some rounds. Like he's gonna want to treat his people. It's here in Texas, so yeah, 7 rounds.
All right. Well, there you have it. I'm saying 5, and we'll see what happens. I think the one I'm most looking forward to is that Blair against Maurice. I think that's an interesting fight. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll be back next week, of course.
Hey, let's go.
That's it, Chris. That's all you got?
No, it's a thought. I mean, I'm over here again in Fort Worth, Texas, gonna try to get that Bud Crawford interview just for Clyde. You know. Clyde, you got a question you want me to ask him? I'll ask it directly. I'd be like, I got a guy, the #1 fan. You know, I'll pose him any question. So drop your question, boys.
The disrespect, Clyde. The disrespect.
Vámonos.
Question. Hey, what's 2 + 2? Answer. Well, let me tell you a story.
Attaboy, Clyde. Attaboy.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We're keeping this one relatively short. Appreciate you guys for, of course, keeping that chat lit. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon. Before we get out of here, I do want to congratulate our recent guest that we had on the show. We were able to call his fight live, Angel El Moreno Rodriguez. I know we didn't do a show last week, so I want to congratulate him, his whole team, Coach G, his strength and conditioning coaches, our guy Andy, our guy Mark. He put on a show. We got a KO, crazy KO. You guys can watch some footage on our YouTube channel. And it was fun. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I interviewed some of the up-and-comers over here. And now, like, you guys have to go to LA and visit this boxing gym. And I named the gym Young Champions Boxing. Dude, they know Coach G out there. Crazy. Crazy.
As they should.
Yeah. They were like, yeah, we know Kid Kansas. Yeah. Like, yeah, we sparred with him. He's good. So they're doing something right over there, man. They're doing something right.
Yeah, and then Clyde says, don't forget about Vince Scully, right? Longtime commentator for the Dodgers. I'm not a baseball fan. I don't watch baseball, but I did know his name. And he had a crazy long career. So, and also Bill Russell, man. One of the GOATs, Bill Russell, but 11 rings with the Celtics. He passed away this week as well, or was it last week? I don't remember. I don't even know what week we're in or what day it is, but yeah.
I usually say baseball jokes right around now, but you know what? Anybody that makes a mark in any sport, they had to give a lot of themselves. So respect to Mr. Vince Scully. Rest in peace.
Yep, and we'll end it here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back soon. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace. Enjoy your evening. Let's go, mates.
Vámonos.
Let's go, mates.
Michael, you already know I said I'm a fun guy.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco Gallo Estrada. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the Ropes, huge shout out to Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview, and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time on y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.
Freddie Roach.
Thank you very much.